Yeah, so I mean, ahead of the strong performance we've seen over the last week, so Topic's up 5% over the last week. But if you take a step back, earnings, which are at an all-time high in Japan, are up over 60% since the fourth quarter of 2016, which is when the most recent bottom. And the market's up less than a third of that. So it's really looked like a little bit of a coiled spring in Japan, which is often the case, where things don't happen for a long time in the market, and then you get a very short period of outperformance. And we think we could be in one of those right now.
And when it comes to Abe's leadership, the likelihood of him continuing his role as well, does that have any investor repercussions as you see it?
Well, so, I mean, if we think back a little bit when the land scandal was going on, there was a bit of concern, but of course that's blown over, which I think was the most likely case. So, very likely that he'll win the LDP leadership again today. I mean, very unlikely that he wouldn't. I guess the only swing factor is, does he win it by too much? And what I mean by that is you get a strong enough majority to therefore fall back on the constitutional reform, which ultimately is not only part of his agenda, but is kind of seen as part of his family legacy, to return Japan to kind of a normalized situation vis-a-vis self-defense. So that's the thing to watch. But we've got the Olympics, we've got the Rugby World Cup coming up next year. He wants to be the face of all of that. And I think it's generally a positive story.
Japan, though, is not immune to these trade tensions that are going on globally, certainly not if you think about the business they do with U.S. and China, but also just here across the region. Does that concern you, or are you in the camp of investors this week who seem somewhat relieved by the latest developments between the U.S. and China?
Yeah, so of course, like most people, we're relieved by the sort of temporary, not stand down, but reduction to 10% tariffs on the $200 billion until the beginning of next year. That's definitely a step back. There's other repercussions from that, which you could talk about later if you want. But by and large, Japan's been out of this for now. So the big risk is that Japan does become the next target. So that's part of the thing that's weighing down the market as well.
And we've certainly heard President Trump hint that he could go stronger on Japan as well when it comes to trade tensions. But are there also risks on the monetary policy side of things in Japan as you see it? Risks that perhaps the Bank of Japan could get behind the curve?
Well, so I mean, the Bank of Japan is not going to do very much. So if you talk about the curve being their inflation target, they're already behind. I think the risk that it is not for a while yet. But the risk would be what happens when they do start to dial back the balance sheet. But I don't think we're expecting that for quite a while.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.